Hey guys, welcome back to my Practically Imperfect Life. I am in the final stretches of getting ready for the new homeschool year. We have just been taking it kind of slow on the homeschool front this summer, but very busy in everything else. And so there are still like little things that I have to get ready, and I still have to prep electives. I still have to get that put into my year-long planner and then have it, go into my students' planners as well. And I thought, since I had been taking you along with all of the other planning that I've been doing, I would show you the last-minute things that I'm trying to get done. And I have some goodie bags for the kids for the first day of school to put together. But this year especially, like the summer has just been crazy. We've had college visits and my daughter got a college offer. We announced it officially that she got an offer to play golf for college, so she's super excited about that. We have been trying to keep up with stuff at the house. We've had some just major hiccups. It's like one thing after another. And then the transmission went out in my car, which was awesome because, that's $4,000 I was planning to spend. So I talked to the kids and I said, well, how about if for once we don't start homeschool until the day after Labor Day? Because normally we start about the same time as all of the other schools in our area start. And they both were actually okay with that. We have a few planned breaks through the year. We've got to have a spring trip as a family, and we are going to be going to the National Basketball Tournament in March with our homeschool basketball team. So we'll be gone for a week for that. We'll take a Christmas break, but all in all, we should still get done at, decent time for when we want to be, kind of wrapped up for the year. And so that took a little bit off my plate, not feeling like I had to have everything ready early in August. And normally that's kind of when I get things started. And I also spend chunks of the summer working on things. So I've already done planning for things like English, or at least the literature part of English, grammar, there's sciences and things like that. But I thought I would show you a couple of things that I've kind of been working on or I've gotten done since the last time I did a Plan With Me video, and I'd show you the things that I still needed to just kind of get tweaked and done and ready to go for the homeschool year. Because you all know, right? Like you're never like 100% ready. There's always something to do. And so coffee has been my friend for sure, largely because I work full-time as a nurse, and then I picked up a part-time job, which now I'm 3/4 time there. I'm not full-time, but working a whole bunch of hours there, and yeah, the balance has been crazy, and my sleep schedule is 10 shades of messed up. In fact, like this morning, I woke up at 4. I didn't work at the hospital last night, and I just woke up at 4, and I couldn't go back to sleep, so I just got up and started my day because apparently that's what I do now. Anyways, let me show you some of the things that I have kind of here and what we need to do. So I wanted to point out just a couple of things that I had mentioned in previous videos. I did one where I talked about planning my daughter's anatomy course. It's a guest hollow course, so obviously very heavy on like different books that we're reading. I showed you the books there, but I mentioned that I had ordered a kind of a college level coloring book, so to speak. And this is the Netter's Anatomy Coloring Book. This book is cool. I wish I had this when I was in nursing school. I mean, it's got these super detailed pictures of just everything. It's amazing. It's so cool. And there's information in here too. So she can read about the things, and she can read their components, like what they actually are meant to do. And then she can color in these pictures to help her start to kind of learn about them and memorize them. It's stuff she's going to have to know when she goes to college. And I told her, I was like, well, I'm not going to quiz you on it or anything, but wouldn't it be neat to just start to get a feel for all of this? And it's worked right into the schedule for the guest hollow course. So there's different pages for her to do on different days. And I love that. There's an option for one that's a little bit simpler if your student doesn't really need to have the deep dive, but she saw it and she goes, oh, I'm going to have to get out my good colored pencils. And I had to remind her that her good colored pencils are actually my good colored pencils that she has commandeered. So that's fine. I don't have time to color right now anyways. So we're adding this on for her anatomy. I just think it's really cool. I'm glad that I found it. I'm glad that she has it to use. And then I ordered a second copy of the Home Ec for Everyone book. So I wrote a curriculum, like a 1-semester elective. I mean, it's, you know, nothing too fancy, but it's a practical life skills course. It covers everything from taxes to job applications to understanding different types of like mortgages and car loans and car ownership. And then basics like how to do basic cooking and cleaning and organizing, just kind of all of the things that I had on a list that, you know, my daughter and I started to brainstorm all of the things that she really wants to make sure she knows how to do before she's off on her own. So I turned it into an elective course, and if you want a copy, it's $15. It's on my Buy Me a Coffee page. So you can find that there. And I feel like it's as well done as I could do. I had a good time putting it together, and had the kids take a glance at it. They've approved it as well. There's a section for them to read. I wrote a couple of chapters, and then they're going to be reading selections from this book as well. Anyways, since both of my kids are going to do it at the same time, I thought it'd probably worthwhile to have 2 copies of the book, and then that way if they want to keep it, they can. So it has a lot of different things within here. You know, how to cook various things, how to clean certain things, understanding basics of sewing, how to, you know, hem your pants. I mean, and I kind of combined some of this with videos that I found or website resources that I found so they could read about it, watch it, and then they're going to do some hands-on stuff. Anyways, it was not that expensive. I think $9 or $10 on Amazon, so I picked up a second copy for them. Then one of the courses that we're doing for an elective this year, you know, my daughter originally requested this, is Biblical Hebrew. Now, we've been studying German for as long as I can remember, because German's a language that I learned, and I can still speak and read and write. So I had been teaching the kids German since middle school, and even a little bit before that, just, you know, words here and there. And rather than doing, you know, another year and going into yet even more, you know, more in depth with that, she asked if we could do something different. And Biblical Hebrew was what she wanted to learn. So we could start to do like word studies and things like that. I found this kit on christianbooks.com, and there was a bundle that included all these different components. And so I ordered that, and then I kept getting back order notices. I ordered it like all the way back in late February, and we got to July, and I was still getting back order notices. Well, I go to their website, and every single component of the bundle is available for immediate shipping. So I contacted them, and I'm like, well, can you just pull those things and create the bundle and send it to me? And oh no, we can't do that. The publisher sends us the bundle and blah, 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 blah. So finally I got frustrated enough. I canceled that order and I ordered them all individually. Cost a little bit more than if I had just gotten the bundle that I wanted, but well, what can you do? Anywho's, there's some cool things in here, and I honestly haven't had a chance to look through it all too much. I've got to figure out how I'm going to break it down for us to do over the year. But there is kind of like a textbook. So it says Basics of Biblical Hebrew Grammar, and I mean, it's kind of a hefty book. I don't know if we're going to get through this in a year. I think what we'll do is we'll do what we can, and we'll have some fun with it, right? We're gonna, I mean, the whole point is for us to be able to just feel like we're learning something new and enjoy it. And nobody learns, you know, Hebrew in a year, unless you're like really talented with languages, which we are not. So we're just gonna see what we can do, especially since we have to learn, like, you know, the Hebrew alphabet. So there's this book, and then I got 2 copies of the workbook because both of my kids are going to do this. So I wanted us to have more than one copy. That way they can each do it rather than doing photocopies and all of that stuff. So the workbook is basically for practice. Now I might actually photocopy or just order myself one so I could do this along with them because I want to learn it too. I think it'll be interesting. So we got that, and then we get access to these online videos. So it's kind of like a digital download or digital access. And I can't remember how many there are, but we can basically just kind of watch them, you know, as often as we want or as many times as we need to in order to, you know, try to learn some new things. There is a course guide that I got, and this has like little quizzes in it and things you should know that go along with the different chapters of the textbook. So this might be kind of what I use to start to, I don't know, plan out what we're going to work on. I mean, it doesn't give like a time frame on stuff. So again, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to break this down. I probably won't have them work on this every day. Maybe 2-3 days a week, something like that. My son especially still has a fairly heavy course load, you know, all of the main courses. My daughter's doing some dual enrollment, so the start of her school year is a little bit light until her dual enrollment starts, but then I don't want to overwhelm her. You know, this is fun elective, and that stuff is for college credit, and we're paying for it. So I would much rather her focus her time on that. So we might maybe start with just 2 days a week and see how it goes. There's a little compact guide. This was a little bonus thing. And then there's one other component that's like printables and things like that, similar to like what I have on the wall for our IEW writing. And that still has to come. So that is our Biblical Hebrew course. Again, I have no idea how I'm going to break this down. We might just kind of roll with it and see what happens. Maybe assign a couple pages to read or a video to watch once a week or once every other week. I just have a feeling that it's going to take us some time. So rather than feel like we have to get through it all in a year, I think we'll just kind of go through it a little organically and just see what happens. We're not doing official group study anymore this year where, you know, we all sit down and we do certain subjects together, which is our first year not doing that. And it does feel weird not to have that be a component of our homeschool. But, you know, that's just where we're at. So, yeah, we'll just kind of see what happens there. So those are those things. Let me set these down. I'll show you the next. Okay, next up is our Bible study. Now, I got all of our Bible studies for them to do for the year from Daily Grace Co. I love Daily Grace Co. And I highly recommend that if you are interested in their stuff, you know, I sign up for their emails and I watch for them to have different sales because you can get their Bible studies for anywhere from $5 to $20 depending on like the size of the Bible study and if it's a bundle. I purchased a couple bundles because they have versions of a lot of their studies for men and for women. So it's just a little bit different of a focus on the same key study. And I thought that would be great because I wanted them both to do the same studies at the same time. But it is nice now that they're both older to start having them focus more on things from a men's Bible study perspective and a women's Bible study perspective. So that's kind of why I chose a lot of the ones I did. So I'm going to have them actually start with this one. This one is called Fighting with Faith, a study on the book of Philippians. And here's why. So I'm going through and I'm reading, you know, the descriptions of the ones that I ordered. They have one called Come and See, study the book of John. And the name of the third one is eluding me. But anyways, this talks about, okay, so this is Paul's letter to the Philippians. And he wrote the letter because the church was in dire need of encouragement. So this is going to really kind of work on that encouragement front. And I feel like at the start of the school year, that's just an important sentiment to go over with them because, you know, they're entering a new year. It can be kind of daunting getting started with all of your subjects again. Some things, you know, start off a little easy, but they quickly get difficult, especially with some of these higher level subjects. And I just want them to feel that kind of encouragement and not just in like everyday life, but in their faith as well. So I just thought it would be a good one to start with. Now, scheduling wise with these, they almost all are set up similarly where you'll have a Bible study for 5 days of the week, and then you have a day 6, which is like a week reflection. So what I was thinking was that I would have them, you know, Monday through Friday, they would do the regular like Monday through Friday study. And then I am going to push for them on Saturday or Sunday, a day of their choice, to do these week reflections. So it just kind of goes back and it, you know, hits those points again that they looked at on days 1 through 5 and asks some further questions. There is also a Bible verse that they can memorize for each week. And I'm going to encourage that as well. I think the more scripture you can have memorized, the better, especially if you can continue reviewing scripture you've already memorized. So not just memorizing it for the week and forgetting it, but the following week, go back and repeat the one that you've memorized and then add another one to the list, and just kind of continue to build those in your mind and in your heart. I think that's just really important. And then that way throughout life, they come to you and they're always there. So that's what we're going to be doing with that one. So Monday through Friday, they'll do the study, and then they'll do the reflection on the weekend, and then just keep up with that. I do give them a Bible study grade for, working on it and completing it. So when they do a reading, there's a couple pages and then there's questions, and they'll just fill them right out in the book this time instead of in journals, which is what we have been doing when we were doing these studies together as a family. I do also have kind of another deep dive book from Concordia Publishing House. Before, we had been doing that 3 days a week along with our Bible study. So we did Bible study every day, and then 3 days a week we added that in. And I might alternate that with the Biblical Hebrew. So if we do Biblical Hebrew 2 days a week, then we'll do that other one 3. So it'll kind of balance out. Or if we do Hebrew 3 days a week, we'll do that one too. Again, it's not something that I feel like there's any kind of a rush for them to get through. It's just something to further their understanding. And the study that I have is on the early church. So kind of what's happening in the books of Acts and beyond as the church is forming. So they'll get a little bit of history there, but then they'll also be deep diving into the scripture as well. So that is kind of what we're doing with our Bible study elective. Then my son's electronic course. So I kind of showed you this a little bit, right? I talked about all of these components and whatnot. So this is from Applied Inspirations. And it is supposed to teach the basics. Like the first one, he's going to be, I can't remember even what it's called that he's building. Hold on. So the first course is called Basic Electronics. Let's see. They're going to learn electronic theory, practice, 10 theory build teaching modules that start with passive components. Then diodes and transistors are used to build an active control circuit in an amplifier. Final sections use analog and digital integrated circuits to teach the basics of working with an operational amplifier and digital logic gates. I have no idea what half of that means. This is the first elective that I've had my kids do, well, besides the Hebrew one now, where I have no basic knowledge about it. Every other elective that they've done, whether that's philosophy or psychology or their foreign languages or the art ones, like I at least had some knowledge in the area. I feel a little out of sorts because I'm not going to be able to help my son with this at all. If he gets stuck, he's going to have to turn back to the curriculum and the resources that they provide. And I'm trying to find a few people who might be good, like go-tos if he's really stuck on things, because I have nothing. Anyways, I bought part 1 and part 2. Part 2, he's going to build an oscilloscope, and then they're working on developing a part 3, which is a microcomputer controlled graphics. So maybe they'll get that done. I, again, have no idea how to schedule this out. I've been looking through it and I still have no idea. So I talked to him a little bit about maybe just scheduling a certain block of time to work on things, because there's stuff that he's going to have to read, and then there's obviously the hands-on stuff. And I have a feeling that with the hands-on stuff, it's one of those things where once you're starting to work on it, you kind of want to finish that piece of it. And so that might mean that you need a longer block of time to make sure you're doing that piece well. On the flip side, he's also super handy. He's really into building things. He tends to understand this kind of stuff fairly quickly. So he might blow through this really fast. I will take you along on the journey and I will let you know. Anyways, so we have our little envelope of components, most of which look pricey. It's a pricey kit. I talked about this before, that this was not a cheap kit, but he's got, see, I'm so afraid I'm going to break stuff. So he's got little components, like this, and all kinds of pieces that I don't know what they do. All these little pieces for his basic electronics set. So somebody out there knows about electronics, or your husband's watching you watch this video and he knows about electronics and he's laughing at me because I have no clue. You know, you want me to teach you chemistry? I can teach you chemistry. I can teach you physics, biology, how to diagram a sentence and write a research paper, but I can't teach you this stuff. Anyways, yeah, this stuff. But it came with, each part came with a USB to print off the book. So I went in to print off part 1 thinking, oh, it won't be that bad. This is part 1. It is huge. It is huge. There is so much that's included in this. There's, how many chapters did I see? 17 chapters for part 1. And then it comes with like printouts of schematics and everything. So I just printed off part 1 for now because my printer was yelling at me. It was like, what are you doing? And I was going to just spiral bind this with my cinch, but I think it's too thick for my cinch to handle. I think the limit that I've done on there is like 200 pages, and this is pretty long. And these are printed front to back too, like front to back. I did print it in color because I figured he's going to need the color photos. But there's lots of diagrams to walk him through all of the different steps. So as long as he's paying attention to what he's reading, he ought to be able to get this figured out. Maybe I'll learn something along the way too. I did see that there's some calculations on like voltage and energy and things like that, and that I know. So I can help with the calculations part of things. So what I'm going to do for this is I think I'm just going to 3-hole punch it, and I've got a debinder to put it in. But I am going to be using my cinch to bind up his history workbook. So I've had a couple people ask again for me to show how the cinch works, so I'll pull that over here and I'll show you guys really quick what I do for that. But the workbook for U.S. History Year 1 is not terribly thick. I was expecting something much thicker because we just finished Whirlwind World History, and that workbook is kind of a beast. There's a lot to that one. This one's not that bad. So we can definitely get this bound up. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight with you guys, and sorry if I keep turning away, I did not include planning on physics at all on any of my pre-planning videos, but I wanted to show you really quick how I did it for Barium Builders physics. So I went back to Barium Builders. We had used them for chemistry, and then my daughter did apology as physics, and I was really frustrated because there was no like breakdown of how to do things. But in the workbook that comes with the Barium Builders physics, and hopefully I can get this in focus. So you see how it's got everything kind of built into the workbook. So if you didn't want to do like a printed planner for your kids, they could actually just follow this and check it off as they go. But I love that it has this already figured out. It tells them what pages to read, which comprehension check questions to do, which experiments to do when to be working on chapter review, when to do tests. So I took this and I put this into my year-long planner so that way it'll show up on his planner as well. But that is what I followed. I just copied and pasted exactly how they have it on here. Now, they have it broken down to 36 weeks, which is fine. But on week 36, it's literally just the one test to finish it up. So in reality, it's more like 35 weeks in one day, which works out. So that is what we're going to do. We're just going to follow their schedule exactly on there. And then I also hadn't talked about writing. Now, my daughter is not doing a writing curriculum because she is taking a dual enrolled course. One is writing and composition. She has to have that for her degree. And then she's going to do a literature one that she doesn't have to have, but I feel like a college literature course would be good for her to do. My son is going to be starting off with the elegant essay. Now, I did a different course with my daughter, her freshman or sophomore year. I can't remember which. But it was like a college writing course. It was like writing your college essay, writing your SAT essay and things like that. But they have since revamped that. They have a new course that I almost purchased. In fact, at the Great Homeschool Convention, I talked to a representative from IEW. I told him, I said, look, I've already had the elegant essay for a while. I've been holding on to it, I just hadn't done it. But I saw their new one and I thought, well, should I do that one? And I was talking to them a bit about what I needed to do with my son. And we just have to work on our essay writing, our longer essay writing. He's done really well with like the 3-paragraph assignments and things like that. But writing just doesn't come naturally to him. The IEW programs have helped a lot in terms of giving him guidance, but I just want to continue to hone that skill so that way he can continue to grow in how well he can craft a good quality essay. So while like our main writing for the year is the U.S. history-based writing lessons, because we're studying U.S. history, we're studying American literature, so we're kind of, the theme of the year for him is U.S./American stuff. So while he'll be doing this later, the elegant essay can be done in a couple of weeks. I mean, you can spread it out further if you want to, but we're just going to kind of use this for the first month to review good quality essay writing. Okay, so this one goes over thesis statements, how to organize your essay, doing good transitions, focusing on introductions, conclusions, reviewing form, thesis and outlines, a descriptive essay, and a persuasive essay. And I think a month is probably doable to get through this. If we get into it and he just is needing a little more time, then I'll spread it out a little further. I don't know. I feel very, very chill this year as far as whether or not we're going to get through full curriculum. In years past, I've been like, we have to finish all of it every year. And I just feel a little more relaxed this year. Maybe it's because it's my daughter's senior year and I don't want to stress about all of the little things this year. I want to take a breather, and I think we just all need that. So if we can get this done in a month, fantastic. I have it scheduled out to be done in a month, but we'll play it by ear. And if we need more time, we need more time. So we're going to start with the elegant essay and just work on honing that skill. And then he'll move into the U.S. history-based writing lessons. So this, no matter what, we won't get through the whole thing this year, and that's fine. These are definitely broken down more in a time frame. So there's certain units. There are extra like reading assignments that they recommend along with this. Like you can read certain books and things like that. But some of the books we're reading as part of our literature course, they were ones that were recommended with the guest hollow history that we're reading for literature and stuff. So, I mean, we're getting those anyways. And other ones we're not doing. But like he's going to read The Last of the Mohegans. He's going to read Uncle Tom's Cabin, the autobiography of Ben Franklin, Huckleberry Finn. He's not reading, it says it has To Kill a Mockingbird and The Old Man and the Sea. He's not reading those this year. I am going to have him read some of those next year when he does American History Year 2, which is modern American history. But they are broken up to basically like weekly assignments. So there's something for him to read, a skill for him to review, and then there'll be daily assignments with a paper due basically on Friday. Sometimes it's a paragraph, sometimes it's 3 paragraphs, sometimes it's 5. Sometimes they stretch over 2 weeks. It varies from lesson to lesson, but we have been using their theme-based writing ones for years. We did structure and style back in middle school, and then the theme-based ones based on their age level ever since then. But I really like it. So I'm going to do just a little bit of prep work here, get some things hole punched and in there. I'll grab the cinch really quick and just show you guys how that works. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, this is my home spiral binding machine. I purchased it a couple of years ago off of Amazon, and it has been a godsend because I spiral bind a lot of things, workbooks and schedules and just papers that I want to have gathered together. And to go and take them to Home Depot or Staples and have it done, they want like a ridiculous amount for each one. And so I print things off here. I have an EcoTake printer. I get things printed here, and then I spiral bind them myself. And it's worked really well. I purchased the off-brand spirals that go with the machine off Amazon, so I get a ton of them for a pretty cheap amount. And I can customize the size. So if I'm doing a bigger book, I can use the bigger spiral. Yeah, I've done where I've made a couple of like 5x7 little notebooks, or I've made some craft project as well. I did a calendar last year and used the spiral machine to do that. So it's not just for workbooks for my homeschool, but it's been really nice and well worth the money that I've spent. So let me get that, show you guys that thing, and then, yeah, I'll get the rest of the stuff entered in my planner, and I think then we're finally ready to start our homeschool year. All right, so I'll do my best to show you what I'm doing here while being able to see it myself. So this is my cinch binding machine. I got this on Amazon ages ago. I think I have it linked. If you go to my Amazon page, which is linked in the bottom of the description box, I have it listed with like my homeschool favorites. So essentially you're able to adjust your punches, add your spiral, bind it all in one. I have a pair of just wire clippers that I got off Amazon. And then these are what I order. So you can get them in lots of different colors. If you want gold, rose gold, silver, I just order them in bulk. They have different size options too. So if you want to do books that are 1 inch up to 2 inches, and then you can make adjustments when you are closing it up. But what you're going to do is take your things that you're going to be binding. Now I just do like a small stack of them at a time, and you're going to start with it closed all the way, and then you're going to do a punch on the side that you're going to be doing. So on the first punch, you want to have all of these pushed in, all of these little numbered, you probably can't see it, but they're numbered on here. And these, well, I'll show you in a second. So punch one time. There we go. So we get it punched, and then I'm going to pull this out to its maximum right here. There is a little alignment peg on the end. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little alignment peg, and that goes in my second to last hole. So I line it up on there. Then, depending on how big my final project is, I pull out a certain peg on the second punch. Now, there is a cheat sheet in the instructions that tells me which peg to pull out for which size. Now, I'm doing 8.5 by 11 inch here. So I'm going to pull out peg 10 for this, and then I punch a second time. And then I have the right number of punches along the side of my page for the size project that I'm doing. Now, to make it quick, sometimes I will go ahead and I'll do all of the first punches, and then I'll pull it out and I'll do all of the second punches. Sometimes I get in a rhythm and I'll just do one and then the other. And you would think, only punching a handful of pages at a time, it would take a long time, but it's actually rather quick. You just punch, pull, pop, punch. And I get it prepped pretty darn quickly. So I'm going to get all of these punched really quick, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, so I have all my pages punched, and then I went ahead and I punched 2 pieces of cardstock as well. So that's going to become my front and back cover. You don't have to do that, but I like to put a cover on there just to protect the other pages that are inside, since I just print them on regular paper. So I'm going to turn my cinch around, and I'm going to be using the bars on the side. This is where I thread the coil. So they just sit on there, nicely like that. And then this is how I will start to put things in order. So I put my inside pages on first. Sometimes I'm good and I can get a whole bunch of them at once. Sometimes I'm not so good at keeping things aligned. That's a me problem. So let me just start at the end there. Okay, so I've got my inside pages all looped on there. And then you do your front cover. Now, I don't have anything printed on my front cover, but if you had something printed, you do your front cover facing up, and then you would do your back cover facing down on that. So you do it that order, because once we've crunched it together, we can flip the back cover back and it's going to hide the seam. So I have it all on there. Yes, there's extra. That's okay. We're going to trim the extra off. So that's where my wire cutters come into play. I'm just going to go in and give it a quick snip. Now that little extra that's on the end, yeah, so I can just snip it right off there. All right, now I'm going to turn it, I'm going to use the back. So this is where I can make an adjustment on how thick my final book is going to be. So am I going to have it be 3/4 of an inch all the way up to about 1 1/4 inches? So this one, if I was judging, I don't know, it's a little over 1/2 inch. So maybe I'm going to just take it to like 3/4 of an inch. And that might be too big. And then we set it on here. like so. And I'm going to push it down in the first section. Move it over a little bit. Push it down in the next section. Okay, so once I've punched it down, and then I'm just going to take my back cover and I'm going to flip it around because that hides the seam on the inside. So no seam on the outside. And voila, I have a spiral bound notebook. Now in reality, this takes me about 5 minutes to do. Did it a little slower because I was stopping to show you guys different parts, but quick and easy, and it has been well worth the investment to purchase this machine. I've used it a bunch of times and will probably continue to use it for years to come. Well, this definitely turned into more of a talk through things with me video than a plan with me video, but that is kind of the mental space that I'm in right now, and the where I'm at in the planning and prepping process. We've gotten all of the things in the year-long planner that were easy to kind of figure out and get done, and even things that sometimes take a little extra thought. For example, like the guest hollow curriculum, you know, that's got so much, and you do have to kind of pick and choose and kind of pare it down to what will work with your schedule. And so that took a little bit of time to do, but some of these electives this year, there's just, I don't know. Like I said, it's a little freeing to not feel like I'm stressing quite so much about how exactly we're going to do all of those. All of the big subjects we've got pretty well planned. Literature and math and science, you know, the big three there. But electives, I feel like, you know, we can just have a little more fun with them, a little more breathing room. And this is definitely going to be the year where I feel like we're going to need that with all of the stuff that I have going on with work and all of the things we're wanting to try to do and enjoy as a family, and with my daughter as she's going into her senior year. It's just kind of nice to not stress too much on those things. However, if you've got any experience with any of these, if you've tried electronics courses, or if you've done anything kind of like the Biblical Hebrew course and have some words of wisdom, please let me know, because it will be a bit of a learning experience. And of course, I'll kind of document along the way how it's going, you know, how we end up scheduling it, what we think about it, because those are brand new subjects to me. They're ones that I have no experience with. And so we'll just show you what we get right and what we get wrong along the way. Anyways, thanks so much for joining me for today's video, you guys. I hope you have enjoyed kind of the Plan With Me series, that you've gotten to see kind of my process at looking at things and starting to organize it and get it all figured out. This was it. This was the last of the things that we really needed to kind of go through and take looks at and stuff like that. And we are ready to rock and roll and get things started right after Labor Day in our homeschool. Hope you guys have all had an amazing summer. You have a great start to your homeschool year. I will see you in the next video. And until then, happy homeschooling.